Hi, Jeff. I'm here with you today in Seattle, and it's a great, beautiful, sunny day. Mount Rainier is really standing out in this incredible city, and we've been having nice discussions on Facebook about contemporary issues in the charismatic movement known as the Signs and Wonders movement or the prophetic movement. Some people call it the New Apostolic Reformation. And today I'd like to get a little explanation. You've been doing a very good job on your videos on what is preterism. That's becoming more popular, so some people don't understand what preterism is. Can you give just a little bit of an explanation on what the definition, biblical theology and definition of preterism is?
Sure. In general, real quick, I want to start off by saying that most people don't understand that partial preterism or preterism is affecting what they're hearing from the pulpit. And it's a word that not many people have heard before. But the concept of the word preterism, it comes from a word that means in the past, basically. And there's really two forms of it. There's full preterism, and then there's what's called partial preterism. Full preterism is the belief that pretty much everything happened in 70 AD. And when I say 70 AD, I'm referring to the destruction of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple, and the murdering of possibly upwards of 1 million Jews in Israel at that time. And they say that the full preterist says that everything happened then, and there's basically nothing left. There is no tribulation, no rapture, no first resurrection.
So when we speak of preterism, Jeff, you're speaking of a belief about the second coming and what we call an eschatological view about the return of Jesus.
Right. It's an eschatological view concerning the final things or the last things. So, but full preterism believes there is no first resurrection. And partial preterism, which is more common, many people believe to a partial preteristic viewpoint, and you can tell they do when they use things like the world is getting better, or the concept of dominionism even feeds into partial preterism. It's an eschatological viewpoint that supports the takeover of the nations, etc. But most partial preterists base their belief system upon Matthew 24. And in fact, many of the teachers specifically don't look at other portions of the Word of God to support their views. They just talk about Matthew 24 pretty much. And again, a partial preterist is someone who believes that there is no tribulation period, there is no apostasy or falling away, there is no rapture, and there's different camps of what they believe, but they believe that we are either in the millennium now. Some say we were in new heavens and new earth, which also bleeds into full preterism.
So basically what we're looking at in terms of an eschatology is a belief that Jesus returned in 70 AD, that the prophetic judgments of the book of Revelation have already passed. Some believe that Nero was the Antichrist, that Titus's armies fulfilled the armies surrounding Jerusalem, and the desecration of the temple was the sacrificing of a pig on the altar. So it's amazing that the preteristic view is that the Bible has already fulfilled its second coming thing within 30 years of the death of Jesus. That's a pretty amazing view.
Well, a partial preterists will get away from that and say that there are many comings of the Lord. So they'll take an obscure reference to something that happened maybe from Josephus or something else, where something was seen in the clouds above the city of Jerusalem, and they will claim that that was the Lord returning in the clouds like he said he would. And it's so obscure, though. Look at his first coming, the fulfilling of all the prophecies, the fulfilling of all the things that he did. They make a mockery of his second coming by having it be something that no apostle, nobody else talked about, no one, addressed the coming of the Lord at 70 AD.
So with preterists of both kinds, I guess we see a lot of symbology or allegory, typology, like the teaching in the book of Revelation is just simply symbols or poetry. there's no real literal sense of the fulfillment of the facts of Revelation. It was all symbolically fulfilled or allegorically given. And so you have a lot of leverage, a lot of liberal leverage in just interpreting historical events the way you want to interpret them.
Well, they totally changed the book of Revelation. It's no longer a book of prophecy. It is no longer really a fulfilling of the revelation or unveiling of Jesus Christ. It is just a document, basically kind of a historical document of things that happened in 70 AD. And then they mangle it and try and fit everything that is in the book into 70 AD. And what they're really trying to do is just get rid of all concepts of judgment, of an end time judgment, of a day of the Lord, of a time when the Lord judges the earth, judges the nations, and they want to do away with that because that conflicts with the concept of the world is getting better.
So we're following a preterist teacher. Some kind of the more popular ones would be like Jonathan Welton or Harold Eberly. They both wrote books on either partial preterism or preterism views. And so these teachers show us that these things have already come to pass. There's no future Antichrist, no coming Antichrist, no coming tribulation. The judgments of the book of Revelation are already fulfilled. And so what only remains is this kind of golden age, the age of Aquarius. And so when did this all really begin to happen? When did preterism really begin to originate?
Well, it became a force in today's church through the 20th century. I believe there was a gentleman named Bertrand Russell who actually wrote a book called Why I'm Not a Christian. And one of the reasons he said he was not a Christian because in Matthew 24, when Jesus said, "This generation will see all these things fulfilled," Bertrand Russell said, those things were not fulfilled to those people that spoke and lived during Jesus' time. He didn't understand the concept of future. He didn't understand the concept of prophecy. He didn't understand the concept, of course he was not a Christian, of an event happening on this level and a future event and a grander event happening. So many liberal theologians, Christians, teachers seized on that because Russell was influential. So the liberal mindset formed an excuse, in a sense, and justified why that did not come true when Jesus said this generation. So preterism really formed in the 20th century partially because of that.
So we see the eschatological belief or the theology of preterism as a late in the game theological belief.
Right. One other thing too, there's a gentleman named John A.T. Robinson who was a liberal theologian that did not believe in the miracles of Jesus. He didn't believe in the supernatural. He didn't believe, he believed that everything that Jesus did was really a myth. And he formed a liberal theology, a social gospel type of thing in the early 60s, and he used preterism to help him do that. And he actually wrote a book proving that the book of Revelation was written before 70 AD. So this liberal theologian that did not believe that Jesus Christ did the things that he did helped formulate and solidify the concept of partial preterism by writing books confirming an early dating of the book of Revelation, which feeds into their belief system. But you got to look at the source of this stuff. So to have John A.T. Robinson as the source, and in fact many books like Jonathan Welton, he praises John A.T. Robinson. And the book actually has been rejected, it's been analyzed, it's not a book that is solid in the academic arena of writing. It was just a tool that a partial preterist used to prove his belief system, and it was from a liberal theologian that didn't believe that Jesus did the things that we know he did.
So what we're seeing is the modern day belief of things getting better all the time, all the judgments of God have passed, there's no more hell. These kind of theological beliefs of an optimistic view, a man philosophy, a man-made wisdom is really growing in the church. So Jeff, thanks for the introduction of the view of what preterism is, and we'll catch up on you in the other videos that you're going to do as you go through and explain a little bit more about what's happening in our day inside of the Signs and Wonders Charismatic Movement.